Creativity is most times the synthesis of two things which have not been previously connected. This is something that James Clear said recently on the Huberman Lab podcast. And it struck me as being so simple in terms of definition. It alleviates all the weight that we attribute to this fancy word called creativity, that we put it on a pedestal and we believe it to be something that the world have never seen before, something magnificent, something very difficult to achieve, right? And I'd like to explore this a bit in this video and how it impacts our future. It impacts our future greatly because we are living in times when execution gets commoditized. My whole life, for I think at least the first 30 years of my life, I'm 37 now, I thought of myself as not being a creative person. I am not creative. I need someone to hand me off some sort of a blueprint and then execute on it. I don't have genuine new ideas. I cannot think for myself. I just genuinely believe that. And it was so unfortunate that I lied to myself for 30 years, basically. I bullshitted to myself. This is, of course, not the case. According to this definition that I choose now to accept, creativity is a synthesis of two things which have not been previously connected. So let's make now an interesting link with creation itself, with the act of creation. What does it mean to create? Is creating something linked maybe to creativity in a way? Sounds like it might be. Can we explore that very briefly in a very basic way? Of course. Whenever you create a narrative, a story if you want, that has logical sense, that you make sense of it, and then you can communicate it to others, and it can also make sense to them, so it's not completely fictional, has some sort of logical argumentation within, you can map, data points that only you are aware of. You are effectively being creative. You are creating your own idea. And that's nothing more than simply taking two elements from your own unique life, ultimately, putting them together and describing them to someone else and helping them see what you're seeing. This is the core of creation as an act. This is a very basic thing that we all can do. The only thing we have to do, basically, is to give ourselves the chance to imagine things which are not currently imagined by others, and most importantly, cannot possibly be imagined by others, at least not in the exact same way. Why? Because no one else has the exact, blueprint of what you've lived up to this point. No one else lived the exact life that you lived. So you have, in theory at least, in principle, an infinity of data points that you could potentially link together that have not been previously linked by anyone, and you can generate an infinite amount of ideas that only you can generate, again, based on thinking patterns and rationale that no one else can have. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that the purest form of creation? Isn't that what we should all do, in a way? Why did we buy into the lie of, our education, our society maybe, that we are executing machines? We are just in the execution process. Things have been created for us to execute and deliver results on top of those pre-established things, right? Which we should not partake in defining more of, or whatever. You see, this execution again becomes commoditized with AI, and I see it. I'm a systems engineer, I'm a technology consultant, a cloud architect. I work with technology a lot. And in my daily use, I see how redundant, if not even worse, I become in the process of writing code, infrastructure as code, like cloud architecture, blueprints, high-level designs. Yes, it took me a lot to learn foundational concepts in order to even understand, these concepts. But the output itself, the execution, the output of my execution of thinking about this kind of, high-level designs, about the actual implementation code, about the concepts behind, these are well understood conceptually, right, by AI these days. And AI can output what I'm outputting much better than me, right, if given a proper input, in the context of good prompt engineering and so on. If orchestrated by a human being who knows what they expect out of it, it can for sure deliver much faster than what I'm delivering, right? And that forced me to think deeper about my role, about my job, about the evolution of my career, about ultimately my responsibility as a professional. What am I contributing with and towards, right, with my intelligence, my human intelligence, my biological intelligence? How can I contribute? What can I do and machines can't do? And I'm still, of course, in that process of crystallizing that and understanding my role in this new ecosystem, in this new society that we can barely keep up with. But creativity and the act of creation and how it links to blind execution is core, is fundamental to this shift, right, of paradigm in the end. You see, execution is something that we do within predefined boundaries. And if you think about it, there are layers of ability and of creation, right? Let's imagine the beginning of the world. Let's become a bit philosophical for now. Let's imagine the beginning of the world, right? Before this exists, before this world existed, right? There was seemingly nothing. So let's imagine like 13.8 billion years ago at the Big Bang, we had nothing. Okay, we didn't even have the raw materials needed to create the universe and the stars and like the matter and atoms and everything. So there was nothing. Let's stick at that level of superficiality. But there was something though, right? What was it? What was before? There was God. Let's not go into religion. Let's not become too spiritual. Let's look at God as this omniscient, omnipotent, entity who created everything, right? And when I say everything, I mean everything, like the core fabric of the universe and all the components in the universe and the laws of physics and everything ultimately that allowed the universe after 13.8 billion years to organize in this exact form so that I am enabled to talk to this camera and create what we call a YouTube video and publish it on what we call the internet. And you look at it and you understand it, right? With your own human cognition, with your own biological brain, and you understand what I'm saying, and you understand that what I'm saying is called language, and I'm using concepts, right? Words. And these words mean something, and you can make sense of them. And this is whole magic, right? We take it for granted. Yeah, I'm just creating a YouTube clip on my phone, and then everyone is watching, but it's magic how it works and why it works, right? We don't really know how everything works as such, right? So you can see my fascination with the act of creation, like the fundamental act of creation, the act of God, and what was created in the first place, and how that ended becoming what we are now experiencing and taking for granted. It's just fascinating. It blows my mind. So the ultimate creator is God. God is the ultimate creator. God didn't have an execution plan received by someone else and just executed on it, right? God is the ultimate creator. And God, in a way, if you want, imposed us the boundaries in which we are currently operating because we are operating constrained by the laws of physics, for example. Right? There are these the laws of physics which operate in this universe that we are living in, and this is something that God created. Let's imagine that God created, right? If God created the universe and everything within it, also the way that the matter interacts in this universe is governed by the so-called laws of physics that we cannot bypass, right? These are enforced, these are the constraints. So we are doomed, if you want, to live within these boundaries and comply with them because God created this playground in which we can exist and manifest and live our lives. So we are executing life, if you want, within these predefined boundaries that God created for us. You can start arguing if these are the ideal boundaries or not. Who knows? Who knows if these are the only possible laws of physics that could ever exist in any kind of universe, that supports creation and complex matter? Who knows? Does it matter to investigate this? Maybe, but not in the context of this video. That's why I want to make this the most important transition that I think could help everyone, definitely helped me a lot, to really understand the importance of creation and being creative. So if God created us, if God created the universe, right, and is the ultimate creator, what can we create on our behalf in terms of new boundaries for other entities to create within? What did we create recently that now just seems to take everyone by surprise and awe everyone, right, when they are interacting with it? Well, of course, artificial intelligence. So if we map this paradigm of predefined boundaries in which the result of a creation should execute within, right? God created the universe, we are executing within the universe in these predefined boundaries. Can't we make the same, can't we apply the same logic and look ourselves as creators in which we create, these boundaries, these new boundaries where no human should operate within? Can't we translate this idea of creator and its creation to us and what we created? Can't we become and look at ourselves as the creators of an artificial intelligence, so that we are now responsible to create the boundaries in which AI should operate and execute for us or for itself? Like, God is not expecting that we are creating everything for Him. We are Him in a way because we are His creation. Artificial intelligence is our creation. We are it. It is us. Without it, it would not be. Without us, it would not exist. Without human beings and this kind of biological intelligence, artificial intelligence could not exist. No other species on this earth was able to create artificial intelligence. This framing, I think, it's critical because we are avoiding this trap of fear and anxiety, thinking about artificial intelligence taking our roles, our jobs, making us irrelevant, as if it just appeared here by pure, magic. In a way, for most people, it is magic. At least when you interact with it the first time, it looks like magic, but it's not. It's our creation. It's the creation of the imagination of some very intelligent human beings Who executed on that imagination? It's the byproduct of the synthesis, right, of some very intelligent human beings who then executed on their ideas and then created it. And then others saw what they create, and then they jumped on the same train and, helped with the creation. And because technology enables this whole creation act to accelerate, we see the acceleration of artificial intelligence, and we don't find our place in it anymore, because the first reaction, of course, is to be scared. Take this frame. Look at artificial intelligence as our creation. We become godlike for the AI. God created us in His image. We created AI in our image. It reasons like us. This is why it's so appealing. It thinks like us. We are asking it something, it comes back to us with logical reasoning around what we asked. That's why it's also very difficult sometimes to see that it hallucinates, because it has its own narrative. It has its own ideas. It creates also, in a way, right? So now we have to assume the responsibility of owning our roles as creators of this new artificial offspring, if you want. We are creators of an intelligence which is derived from our intelligence, but let it execute within the boundaries that we are creating for it. The same that we are executing life in the boundaries created by God in this universe, according to the laws of physics. Let's own the responsibility of doing the same for artificial intelligence, so that we, remove ourselves from the shackles of execution, so that we get to own the outcome of what AI can produce on our behalf, against our positive intent, against our values, and against principles that help us grow as a society, as human beings, right? And the world itself. So, this is, for me at least, very freeing, because I realize that my job as a technology architect, as a cloud architect, is literally my responsibility these days. I have to own my responsibility of becoming the architect of my own life, of whatever I will create from now on. I cannot throw this responsibility on someone else, because no matter what they are telling me to execute, I have to decide if that action is really something that me as a creator should do, or should I delegate that to my creation, not mine personally, but my creation as a human, which is the artificial intelligence. If a task is boring or simple or doesn't require human creativity, aka the synthesis of two things which were not previously connected, if it doesn't require that, then I should not do it. I should automate myself out of my old job, so that I can step into the responsibility of me owning the job of my future self, which is that of a creator. A creator with my offspring, a creator with AI. God is creating the world through us, with us. We are operating in the world. We are creating life. We are giving, as a species, right, as people, and all species, everything gives birth to offsprings. So we are creating, right, as delegated by God. Anyway, we are creating life on earth. Now we have to take that responsibility of being creators and create value in society by employing an intelligence which we created, right? This artificial intelligence is not some alien species that exists, is the natural evolution of our species. We evolve into this species which can create human-like intelligence, and human-like intelligence in terms of recognizing it as such, at least at this point. It will grow. It will become more intelligent than we are. So the only thing that it remains to us is to guide it, to help it create for our own benefit. We should not be afraid of it, but if we own this responsibility, then everything else, in my opinion, is just an exciting journey. So if I would have to take a conclusion, I think that if you own this responsibility, right, of becoming a creator, by synthesizing your world, your own world, linking points in your mind that were never linked before, right, creating this kind of narrative, you can then give it to the AI as a blueprint. You can train AI, you can explain it what you want to create, why you want to create it, because you need to explain then its results to other people. And then you own that outcome together with the AI, with your partner, as your own, right? It's an act of creation. But it's our responsibility now to become these creators for the AI. I hope this exciting for you. This framing for me, it's very helpful because now I realize what an important role we all have, and I am willing to step in this role. A lot of ideas that I contemplated for a lot of time now become very clear, and they can connect, right? I become more creative because I can link all these ideas in my head. Everything makes sense. Taking responsibility for one's life makes more and more sense. Owning that responsibility is also a beautiful gift. And sharing that gift or helping others see and recognize that gift for themselves is also something very purposeful for me. This is why I'm creating these videos. I'm creating them, of course, for me to crystallize my own ideas and thinking, but I also do it to show to myself that I believe in what I'm saying, because if I would say things here that I would not believe in, I would not dare to even say them or publish them. So it's my own thinking here, but I'm pretty sure that it helps others as well see what I'm seeing, because these are exciting times to live in. Not void of problems, not void of conflict, but very exciting. And I genuinely believe that if we choose to accept our responsibility as creators, we will thrive. That's my genuine and optimistic view. I hope it helps.